Hey guys, CryptJ1958 here. Just coming at you with the discussion video. I've noticed that Konami's been doing a lot of new releases with different older cards or different boss monsters that were in the DM era, and we're completely revamping them. Most notably, like Relinquished, where we got Millenniumizer Strict and a bunch of support cards to kind of make it its own thing. Kind of wanted to look at it. Five kind of groups or different monsters in the DM era that I think I would personally like to see new support for. I think they had a good idea behind them, but they didn't really have the support, or they really never really got the chance to shine. So I just kind of wanted to go over the few different things here. So looking first, we're looking at Swamp Lava Battle Guard, and of course Battle Guard King. These are the only three that were released in the Battle Guard archetype. I think that having maybe a few lower level monsters that help bring out the higher level ones, and maybe even a fusion or something that would help, preferably a link, but I know that's kind of a stretch. I think that it could become its own archetype and could be pretty fun. It is warrior based, so it's another deck that could abuse a soul, which is probably why we won't get any support for it, but that's just what I would personally like. Moving on, another one that I would like to see get new support is actually Gate Guardian. I think the idea behind it was really good. I really don't think it was executed well, just because we have three pretty decent monsters that go into this thing where you're losing a lot of attack power. I think we could revamp it kind of like we did with Relinquished, give it some new support, maybe different cards to help get into it, maybe even a Gate Guardian magic card or spell card that made it so we could get into it by ignoring its summoning conditions to get another beater on the field. Just a lot of different things we could do. I really don't think that this card just by itself, of course with Suijin, Kazijin, and Sangha, I really don't think that it's good enough just by themselves. I would really like to see a lot more done with them. I know the Paradox Brothers and the tag duel with the Labyrinth Wall was one of the most watched parts of the Duelist Kingdom, and I would really like to see a revamped Gate Guardian. I think that would be a lot of fun. Another card that I thought could use a little bit more support and would be kind of fun is Mass Beast. It was actually used in the episode where Yugi and Kaiba are dueling on top of the skyscraper, and they're dueling against the rare hunters. And if they lose, they fall through the glass and end up in the Shadow Realm. There was a lot of potential here. This was like right at the beginning of Ritual Monsters, where we were finally starting to get Ritual Monsters that were actually strong and could make a difference. Shout out to Hungry Hamburger, right? But I think you look at decks like Cyber Angel or Necroz, just other ritual heavy decks, they have a lot more they could do, and I think with the game being in the state it is, having a ritual monster that's a 3200 beater isn't as good as it could be. I think having an effect or something else to help it out could make it a lot more fun and a lot more usable. I know I used to run this card way back in the day just because it was at that point stronger than a Blue Eyes, and if I could get him out, then it was worth playing. It's just kind of a nostalgia thing for me. I would really like to see revamped and get some more support. Another set of cards or card that I would really like to see kind of get its own archetype is Lejin, the Mystical Genie of the Lamp. They had a lot of good cards, like the Ancient Lamp, that went with it, but it was really just these two cards doing their own thing. He was one of the most iconic monsters in Duelist Kingdom. I would really like to see more. I mean, we know we're getting Summoned Skulls getting its own archetype, because it was a very, very popular monster in Duelist Kingdom. I would really like to see something with these two, new support, maybe a boss monster, something just to kind of bring them, make them more usable. Nowadays, having a vanilla monster is really only good in Dark Magician or Blue Eyes, and Cybers, and that's really the only time you ever see them. But I would really like to see some of these older cards that were pretty iconic come back and be useful again. The last monster I want to talk about is actually Flame Swordsman. We really only have this one and the Blue Flame Swordsman, which I have mixed emotions about. It helps protect your other monsters, but then he's kind of a sitting duck, and I don't particularly like lowering my monster's attack. And it doesn't say that it's just for the end of the turn that I can see, so it's like a permanent loss of attack points until he's at 0, and then he's basically just there to protect. But Flame Swordsman and things like Salamandra, again, it was a very iconic monster. It was one of those where if Joey busted him out, you knew stuff was going to happen. I would really like to see more support, new ways to bring him out, just kind of a lot of things. Again, kind of calling back to the Relinquished revamp that we did. I would really like to see these cards get new support. That's just kind of what I've been thinking about the last little bit. I would really like to hear what you guys have to say, and what other cards that you might be thinking of. I'm trying to keep this to the DM era. I'm gonna kind of go through each series. Sorry. So next we're gonna look at GX, and then we'll move on to 5Ds, Exel, and just kind of move forward that way. This probably will take a little bit, just because what I do is I watch from the first episode to the end of the series, and then I make note of monsters that I really enjoyed that either made a big impact for the first little bit or for a few episodes, and then after that I look up the different cards, see if there's any support cards for them, and if there's really not anything for them, then I'll throw them on the list. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, but I would like to hear from you guys. If you guys agree with my picks, if there's any others that you would like to see, and what I'd like to kind of do in the comments is what effects or what kind of cards would you like to see for the archetype we're talking about. So kind of like what I was saying with Gate Guardian, having a spell card that can summon this Gate Guardian, ignoring its summoning conditions. Having something along the lines of, if you already have Sangha and Kazijin and Suijin in the graveyard already, you can play the card and special summon him from the deck, ignoring the summoning conditions. Something that makes sense, that's not overpowered. I would just like to hear back from you guys. This is what I've been thinking about. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share these videos so we can keep growing the channel. And yeah, have a great day, guys.